And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to your Alaska weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Thursday, September 5th, 2024. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's online presence. You'll come to a map of the continental U.S. with Hawaii and Alaska to the lower left and tabs for the territories. You point and click anywhere on this map, you'll get a very specific forecast for anywhere in the nation, which would include any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories for that particular location. A quick check of the map on this Thursday afternoon. There are heat advisories, South Florida, flood watches along the lower Mississippi Delta there in southern Louisiana. More importantly, the heat out here in the west, excessive heat warnings. Southern California, Vegas, down into southwest Arizona. Heat advisories in the Sacramento Valley, as well as up along much of the Pacific Northwest. Places like Portland could experience 100-degree temperatures rather late in the season. But here in Alaska, we're kind of in a mild early fall pattern, but it's been wet at times. We're watching a secondary weaker low that'll develop over the western Gulf and work its way eastward this weekend. Should not have as much of an impact as the most recent system last night and into this Thursday. There will, though, be a stronger front coming in off the Bering Sea that'll impact the west coast on Saturday. That'll produce some higher surf with some elevated water levels, perhaps 1 to as much as 3 feet above the normal high tide. We're not anticipating any major problems, but that's just kind of a heads up because this will be a breezy system. And overall, we're just looking at a progressive and occasionally wet fall weather pattern to continue across much of the state into mid-September. Looking at a few of the FAA webcams from this afternoon, Wales up there at the Bering Strait, low overcast, 45 degrees. That is a place that'll be impacted by that Bering Sea front on Saturday with some gustier winds and higher surf and water levels. Kipnik will also be impacted there as you go down along the Yukon and Kuskokwim deltas into Kuskokwim Bay and even Bristol Bay down to as far south as the tip of the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians. That front will have some impact that far south, but the bulk of it is expected along the west coast. Kipnik this afternoon, mostly cloudy, 54. Portage Glacier, still some light rain and fog. Portage picked up over 4.5 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. Very wet system there. And then in the southern panhandle, Heidelberg getting rain and fog this Thursday afternoon with the temperature also at 57 degrees. Quick check of any hazardous weather advisories, watches, warnings, special weather statements. We do have special weather statements out here for areas of the west coast in anticipation of that stronger front coming in off the Bering on Saturday that'll produce some higher wind and wave action along with some higher water levels potentially, especially at high tide. We still have a wind advisory in effect until 8 p.m. this Thursday evening for the eastern part of the Alaska Range in the vicinity of Isabel Pass, where southerly winds could gust as high as 50 to 60 miles an hour. Quick check of fire danger, that continues to get knocked down. We're really past the threat of any large-scale fires that can rapidly spread, just not the environment anymore. We have cooler temperatures, some showers moving through this area, so looking ahead into Friday, fire danger has come down, especially through the middle upper Yukon Valley, Tanana valleys, where it had been a little drier more recently. But looking at the satellite imagery, we still have a fetch of moisture, at least early today, coming up into the Panhandle. There's another batch here. So rain and rain showers will still be ongoing across areas of the Gulf Coast and into the Panhandle tonight and lingering into Friday. Though I think some drier weather is going to take shape. There's going to be a brief ridge interval between weather systems here across South Central on Saturday. So that's a day to get out and do something or cut the lawn because definitely our time frame for getting those late summer fall projects done before it gets too cold or wet is rapidly drawing to a close. Out to the west, there's the hint there, the clouds, the leading edge of that frontal system that'll be crossing the Bering Sea as we go through late tonight and tomorrow. So we've had one low come up and weaken here across Cook Inlet today, and we've had a second piece of energy that's kind of rotating through, heading east-southeastward. That's going to help initiate a weaker secondary low along and east of Kodiak Island on Friday. That low is just going to continue eastward over the weekend and continue to weaken, but it's the system out to the west that's going to become the main front that impacts the west side of the state. So late tonight, early on Friday morning, we expect that low to take shape there along the east side of Kodiak Island into the western Gulf. Weak occluded front will continue to weaken as well, with some showers and areas of rain mainly along areas of the Gulf Coast, but still lingering in through areas of the interior because we've seen some of that moisture push inland as well. By Friday afternoon, just a weak low out here in the west-southwest portion of the Gulf. We have the stronger front that's attached to low pressure in Siberia up there in eastern Russia. And this front will be coming pretty quickly eastward on Friday, so that by Saturday, that front will be knocking on the door of the west coast. Initially southeast to south winds ahead of it. Those will turn more to the southwest and west as we go through Saturday evening and into early Sunday. And as a result, we do expect some higher surf and potentially some higher water levels along areas of the west coast here Saturday into early Sunday. That other weaker low in the Gulf just continues to weaken. And overall, just a little bit of a break. Still a few lingering showers, especially around some of the mountains, but otherwise a drier day here across south central on Saturday. Looking at Friday morning, we're anticipating low temperatures above 50 most areas of the Panhandle, some 40s, Copper River Basin, 50-ish for Anchorage. And on Friday afternoon, we could get temperatures in a few spots back up above 60 in the Panhandle, but generally mid-upper 50s. And that's also the case like Anchorage Bowl up to Talkeetna, Palmer, Wasilla, and Glen Allen highs, low 60s potentially here on Friday. And then for nighttime lows Saturday morning, down into the 40s. If there's some clearing, any of the ground moisture could lead to some patchy fog in some spots. Lows generally again in the lower to mid 50s for the Panhandle, warmest readings in the south. And then temperature Saturday afternoon, upper 50s to just around or just above 60, 61 degrees, pretty much though across the entire region from the Panhandle out into areas of south central. You're looking at highs upper 50s to maybe a degree or two above 60. Across central and northern portions of the mainland, temperatures are going to stay above freezing, generally speaking. Readings in the 40s along the Yukon and Tanana valleys. We could see some readings Friday afternoon into the mid-60s, 66 there at Fort Yukon and Fairbanks, 65 over at Eagle. Coolest readings along the northwest Arctic coast, western Brooks Range, highs in the lower 40s. There's a little tail of a weakening front or trough that's just brought in a little cooler air to this area of the state, also a bit cooler north and west side there of the Seward Peninsula. Lows Saturday morning still generally above freezing in most areas, and then we're looking at highs a little cooler with cloud cover. Readings may be getting up just above 60 across the central eastern interior, especially going up there at the Tanana Valley and the Yukon Flats. Back to the west, struggling to hit 40 at Utqiagvik, maybe 50-ish, Shishmaref down toward Nome. But it'll be a breezy day there along the west coast with some surf action. And for Friday morning, lows near 50 as we go up the Kuskokwim River, and look for mid-upper 40s along the outer coast, upper 40s along the Aleutian Chain and the Alaska Peninsula. Warmest readings Friday, maybe a few peaks of sun there at McGrath, 63, 60-ish around Dillingham and King Salmon, otherwise 50s out along the Alaska Peninsula. And for Saturday morning, temperatures will generally be down into the 40s, mid-40s, most areas though near 50 out along the Aleutians. And for Saturday afternoon, we're looking at temperatures generally in the 50s here as we go up the Kuskokwim River, as we go up through Bethel on up toward maybe 61 up there around McGrath, a warmer, drier location. But trailing down along the Alaska Peninsula, generally 50s for highs. So here is the temperature outlook for September 11th into the 15th. So this takes us into mid-month. And temperatures are expected to average near normal across the southern mainland, including the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutians. A bit below normal over the Panhandle, but above normal, especially along and north of the Brooks Range, including the Arctic coast and the North Slope. And so again, it's not going to be cold fall weather, but it will be occasionally wet. It looks like southern 2/3 of the mainland is under the gun, whereby Precipitation in through the middle of the month could average a bit above normal here. So just this continuation of occasional weather systems either coming in off the Bering or lifting up out of the North Pacific, and then they're working their way either into the mainland or up from the North Pacific into the Gulf with frontal systems and so forth that will bring episodes of breezy conditions and either areas of rain or rain showers.